When we look around, the world seems simple. A ball rolls in one direction. A cup of water stays where you leave it. A light switch is either on or off. Everything feels predictable and follows clear rules that make sense. These rules come from our everyday experience, what we call common sense. But there is another layer of reality hidden beneath everything you see. A world so tiny that you can't see it with your eyes, or even with many microscopes. It is the world of atoms and particles, the building blocks of everything, your body, your phone, the sky, the stars. And in this tiny world, nothing behaves the way we expect. Rules break, logic fails, and our common sense becomes completely useless. This mysterious world is called quantum physics. Quantum physics studies how the smallest pieces of the universe behave. And the strange thing is, they do not follow the same rules as big objects. They behave in ways that seem impossible. They act like magic, but they are real. And scientists can measure them, test them, and use them to build things like lasers, computers, MRI machines, and the chips in your smartphone. Quantum physics shows us that the universe is far stranger than we think. For example, in everyday life, you can't be in two places at the same time. But in the quantum world, particles can. This is called superposition. In normal life, looking at something doesn't change what it does. But in quantum physics, just observing a particle changes how it behaves. In our common world, two objects separated by huge distances can't instantly affect each other. But quantum physics shows that particles can be entangled, meaning what happens to one instantly affects the other, even if they are millions of miles apart. Even Albert Einstein, one of the smartest humans to ever live, was shocked by this. He argued, he doubted, he resisted, but quantum physics proved itself again and again. The more scientists studied this tiny world, the more common sense was destroyed. Particles don't behave like tiny balls. They behave like waves, vibrations, clouds of possibility. They don't have fixed positions until you measure them. They don't move in straight lines. They explore all possible paths at once. Reality itself becomes blurry, uncertain, flexible. Quantum physics tells us that the universe is not made of solid things. It is made of information, energy, probabilities, and possibilities. What we see as solid reality is just a small part of a much deeper, stranger world. But here is the most surprising part. Even though quantum physics makes no sense to our human logic, it is precise. It is predictable. It is the most accurate science ever discovered. Everything from your TV to GPS satellites depends on quantum rules that seem impossible but work perfectly. So as we explore the world of quantum physics, get ready to let go of old ideas. Get ready to step into a place where the rules are weird, but true. A place where reality doesn't follow common sense. A place where the universe shows its deepest secrets. This is the story of how quantum physics destroys everything we thought we knew, and reveals a universe far more mysterious than we ever imagined. If you could shrink yourself down, smaller than dust, smaller than a germ, smaller than anything you could ever imagine, you would enter a world that feels nothing like the world you know. The air would feel different. Space itself would feel different. Even time might feel different. This hidden world is the home of atoms and particles, the building blocks of everything. It is the tiny universe beneath our everyday universe, a place so small and so strange that our normal understanding of reality simply falls apart. This is the world of quantum physics. At our human size, life makes sense. If you drop a stone, it falls. If you push a door, it moves. If you shine a flashlight, the light comes out in a straight line. Everything behaves in a stable, predictable way. You can trust your senses. You can trust your logic. You can trust the simple rules you learned as a child. But the deeper we zoom in, past cells, past molecules, past atoms, those simple rules begin to drift away, like sand slipping through your fingers. The clarity of everyday life dissolves into something softer, more mysterious, more fluid. It becomes a place where objects flicker between possibilities, where movements are uncertain, and where the idea of a solid thing no longer makes sense. Imagine standing on the shoreline and watching the waves move in and out. They're not still, not fixed, not formed. At the quantum level, everything behaves like those waves. Particles shimmer in and out of existence. They vibrate, float, spread, and contract. Sometimes they act like waves, sometimes like particles, and sometimes like both at once. The tiny world seems alive, constantly shifting and rearranging itself in ways that feel almost dreamlike. In this quiet, microscopic universe, you would notice something else. Nothing ever sits still. Even if you freeze time and look right at a particle, it still moves, still vibrates, still dances with invisible patterns of energy. It is never fully resting. It exists in a delicate balance, a constant flow of potential. And this is where everything becomes strange. Because in our everyday world, things stay where we leave them. A chair stays in a room. A cup stays on a table. Nothing just moves unless something pushes it. But deep down, inside the quantum world, motion is natural, effortless, automatic. Particles drift like dust in a sunbeam. They slide like waves across a calm ocean surface. And this gentle, constant movement is the heartbeat of the universe. Now imagine you reach out to touch a particle. You want to know where it is. You want to know what it's doing. But as soon as you try to observe it, the world around you reacts. The particle isn't a tiny ball waiting to be found. It's a cloud of possibilities, a soft haze of potential positions. When you look at it, when you measure it, when you focus your attention on it, the haze collapses. The particle chooses a position. It becomes something more solid, more familiar. But only because you observed it. This gentle, almost mystical behavior tells us something important. The quantum world is not fixed. It responds to interactions. It reacts to attention. It bends when we touch it. And this alone destroys the foundation of our common sense. As you continue to explore this tiny universe, you notice other things that make even less sense. Light, which you always thought moved in a straight beam, begins to ripple like water. Electrons whizzing around atoms don't follow neat paths like planets around a star. They swirl in cloudy regions, appearing here and there without any predictable route. You can't say exactly where an electron is. You can only say where it might be. And the closer you look, the more you observe, the stranger everything becomes. It's as if the universe is whispering secrets, revealing that the world you know is only the surface of a much deeper reality. A reality built not from objects, but from patterns, vibrations, and probabilities. At this scale, the idea of a thing becomes blurred. An atom is not a tiny solid ball. It's mostly empty space with a heartbeat of energy at its center. The electrons that surround it don't orbit like planets. They exist in soft, shifting clouds. This emptiness inside everything means that if you could remove the space between the particles in your body, you could fit inside a grain of rice. It sounds impossible, but the quantum world is built on impossibilities that turn out to be true. And yet, despite all of this strangeness, there is peace in this tiny universe. There is a natural rhythm, a quiet order beneath the chaos. Particles move not in random madness, but with purpose, guided by invisible patterns and laws more delicate and precise than anything in the world you know. Quantum physics is not disorder. It is a deeper order, an order too subtle for the senses, too advanced for common sense. When you zoom back out, rising through molecules and atoms, passing through layers of structure until you return to the world of familiar objects, you see how everything connects. The atoms in your body, the light from the sun, the electricity in your phone, all of it behaves according to quantum rules. You are, in a very real way, built from impossibilities. And that is why the quantum world feels so strange. It isn't that it is unnatural. It's that our everyday world hides its true nature behind simple rules. Quantum physics opens a door, inviting you to see the universe as it really is. Soft, shifting, mysterious, and endlessly beautiful. A place where the ordinary becomes extraordinary. A place where reality is deeper than common sense can ever reach. When you begin to explore the strange world of quantum physics, it helps to imagine yourself walking through a quiet forest at dawn. There is a soft stillness in the air. Light moves gently through the leaves. Nothing is rushed. In this calm space, you can start to understand something important. The universe does not behave the way we expect it to. Our everyday experience teaches us that objects stay where we leave them, events follow each other in order, and reality feels stable and predictable. But in the quantum world, this sense of order begins to melt away. Particles do not sit still. They do not follow one single path. They move like whispers that appear, fade, and reappear somewhere else, as if the universe is breathing them in and out. And in this quiet place, you start to see why scientists say that the smallest things around us behave in ways that challenge our very sense of logic. Imagine holding a tiny grain of dust in your hand. To your eyes, it looks solid and unmoving, but deep inside it, countless particles swirl in strange rhythms. These particles do not follow the laws that your body or the trees or the planets follow. Instead, they act more like possibilities than physical objects. At the smallest scale, nothing is ever simply here or there. A particle exists as a cloud of potential positions, each one waiting to become real. It is like a note played on a piano that continues to echo, not choosing where it will finally fade. Only when we try to observe it, when we look at it, measure it, or interact with it, does it settle on a single position. Before that moment, it is a gentle wave of maybes drifting through space. This idea alone is enough to make anyone stop and breathe. It tells us that reality is not fixed. It is more like a flowing river of chances. And as you walk deeper into this quiet forest of thought, you begin to see how this strange behavior shapes everything in the universe. Quantum physics reveals that particles can be in several states at the same time. They can spin in two opposite directions at once. They can pass through two openings simultaneously, as though they split and rejoined. They can even connect with other particles in ways that seem impossible. When two particles become linked, what happens to one affects the other instantly, even if they are on opposite sides of the universe. It is as if the universe holds a secret thread between them, a connection that cannot be broken no matter how far apart they drift. Standing in this peaceful imaginary forest, it becomes easier to accept these ideas without feeling overwhelmed. You realize that the laws we follow every day, gravity, motion, time, are simply the rules of the larger world. But underneath them, hidden like roots beneath the soil, quantum rules quietly shape everything. These rules are not wrong. They are simply different, belonging to a deeper layer of reality. When we observe the world, we see the branches and the leaves. But quantum physics lets us see the roots, the part of nature that works silently, invisibly, below our senses. You might wonder why the universe behaves this way. Why would reality allow a particle to exist in multiple states at once? Why would it only choose a definite form when we look at it? The truth is simple and calming. This is just how nature works at its most delicate level. The universe is not trying to confuse us. It is only showing us that its foundation is softer and more flexible than we imagined. We are the ones who expect it to behave logically, simply because our daily lives are filled with solid objects and predictable events. But the universe is not limited to our expectations. It is more fluid, more mysterious, and far more beautiful than the common sense we rely on. As you let these thoughts settle, you may start to feel a shift inside yourself. You understand that the strange behavior of particles is not something separate from you. You are made of these same particles. Every atom in your body dances to these quantum rhythms. The chair you sit on, the sky above you, the stars far away, they all arise from this shimmering world of possibilities. And even though you cannot feel it directly, you carry the strange magic of the quantum world within you. You are part of the same mystery. This understanding can be surprisingly comforting. Instead of seeing the universe as rigid or mechanical, you begin to see it as alive, full of motion, full of choices, full of unseen connections. You can almost imagine the particles inside you whispering stories of their journeys, their interactions, their endless dance with energy. The quantum world is not cold or chaotic. It is subtle, delicate, and full of harmony, like waves on a quiet lake. The more you think about it, the more you realize that the universe has always been this way. Humans simply discovered the rules late. Before telescopes, before microscopes, before equations or experiments, the universe was already weaving its quantum patterns. Stars were forming, atoms were bonding, light was traveling in waves and particles. All of it was happening long before we had words to describe it. And now, as we learn about this hidden layer of reality, we are simply uncovering what has been there since the beginning. As the forest around you remains still and peaceful, you feel a deep appreciation for the strangeness of quantum physics. It may destroy common sense, but in doing so, it opens a doorway to a greater understanding. A reality built on probabilities, connections, and quiet mysteries. A reality richer than anything we see with our eyes. There is a gentle moment, almost like the pause between two breaths, when you begin to realize that the quantum world is not simply strange, it is deeply poetic. It behaves like a language the universe uses to write its most delicate stories. In this soft space of understanding, you can imagine yourself drifting through a quiet cosmic room where everything moves slowly, smoothly, and with purpose. There is no noise here, no rush. Only the subtle flow of reality revealing itself layer by layer. At this point, it becomes important to understand that the quantum world is not separate from the world you live in. It is not a distant science or a complicated theory hidden in thick textbooks. It is happening around you every second, in the light that touches your skin, in the air that moves through your lungs, and in the atoms that make up your thoughts. Even though you cannot see these quantum behaviors, they quietly shape your entire existence. And as you think about this, you may begin to see how the universe creates a bridge between the smallest particles and the vastness of everything you know. One of the most fascinating ideas in this journey is the wave-particle duality. It is the notion that particles, tiny building blocks like electrons or photons, are not always tiny solid dots like marbles. Instead, they move like waves, spreading out through space. And yet, when you try to detect them, they appear as single points, small and exact. It is as if they wear two different costumes, switching between them depending on whether they are observed. But this switch is not a trick. It is a natural part of their existence. Imagine a soft ripple moving across a still pond. The water flows in gentle curves, spreading wider and wider. That ripple is like the wave nature of a particle. But imagine that the moment you look closely at one point on the ripple, it suddenly freezes into a small droplet. That frozen droplet is the particle nature. The same thing, behaving in two beautifully different ways. Understanding this makes the universe feel almost artistic, as if it paints reality with strokes of both waves and dots, choosing whichever form fits the moment. As you reflect on this, you might notice how calming this idea becomes. It tells us that things do not need to be only one way. They can exist in multiple forms depending on how they are touched, seen, or felt. In a quiet way, the quantum world reminds us that flexibility exists even in the foundation of nature. That possibilities are built into the blueprint of reality. That nothing is limited to a single identity unless forced to be. This thought alone can soften the rigid edges of the world. Another gentle realization appears as you explore deeper. The quantum world does not follow strict paths. An electron moving around a nucleus does not orbit like a moon around a planet. Instead, it floats in a cloud of probability, sometimes closer, sometimes farther, existing in all possible positions until a measurement selects just one. It is like watching fog drift across a valley, shifting shapes constantly, never locked to a single form. Only when light shines directly on it does it form a clear outline for a moment. This understanding begins to shift your perspective. You start to see that certainty is not the rule of the universe. Possibility is. The world you know is only the final version, the collapsed outcome, of an ocean of hidden potential. Every object, every event, every breath you take is the result of countless quantum choices settling into place. And yet, there is nothing chaotic or frightening about this. Instead, it feels gentle, like the universe giving everything room to exist freely before deciding what it wants to become. You may even begin to sense the quiet elegance in this behavior. It shows us that nature values openness. It creates space for many paths before taking one. Even in its smallest parts, the universe demonstrates patience and freedom. As you drift further through this calm inner journey, another idea begins to form: interference. This happens when quantum waves overlap, creating patterns where some possibilities strengthen each other and others cancel out. It is like listening to two soft melodies that blend unexpectedly, forming harmonies you never predicted. When particles act like waves, they can combine their possibilities, creating new outcomes that wouldn't exist if they behaved like simple, separate objects. This is one of the reasons why quantum mechanics can feel so magical. It shows us that the universe is not built from tiny isolated pieces. Everything influences everything else. The smallest behavior in one place can slightly change the pattern somewhere else. Even though these changes are subtle, they echo the idea that reality is woven together like threads in a peaceful tapestry. And if you continue to breathe slowly and let the idea settle, you might understand that interference also happens in life. Choices, thoughts, actions, all of them overlap and influence one another. They create patterns, strengthen directions, or cancel out paths. In this way, the quantum world seems to reflect something deeply human. It mirrors the way our experiences combine to shape who we are. As the calm cosmic room around you grows quieter, you realize that quantum mechanics is not simply about particles and probabilities. It is about understanding the nature of existence in its most delicate form. It shows us that reality is not mechanical or rigid but fluid, flexible, and layered in mystery. It reveals that everything, every atom, every wave, every spark of light, moves with a softness that escapes ordinary vision. And when you accept this, the world feels different. Instead of seeing reality as a solid, predictable machine, you begin to see it as a living ocean of possibilities. You are not just a passenger floating on its surface. You are made from that same ocean. You are part of the same dance. In this quiet awareness, you find peace. Not the peace of certainty, but the peace of understanding that uncertainty is built into the universe. That the unknown is not something to fear. It is the very space where all beauty begins. The quantum world may destroy common sense, but it gives you something gently profound in return. A sense of wonder, a sense of connection, and a feeling that the universe is far more open and magical than it appears. There is a soothing comfort in imagining the universe not as a cold, empty place but as a space filled with quiet conversations. Tiny, delicate exchanges happening between particles that are too small for the human eye to ever see. Yet these exchanges shape everything. They guide the way energy flows, the way atoms combine, the way light travels across space. And in this gentle understanding, you begin to sense that the universe is alive with silent communication. This idea becomes even more fascinating when you begin to explore one of the most mysterious behaviors in quantum physics: entanglement. Entanglement is a word that sounds complex, but at its heart, it is simply a connection. A bonding of two particles so deep that they behave as a single system, no matter how far they move apart. It is like two dancers who learn each other's steps so completely that even if one dances on Earth and the other dances on the Moon, their movements remain synchronized. This connection does not fade with distance. It does not weaken with time. It remains, quiet and unbroken, like a thread woven directly into the fabric of the universe. Imagine for a moment that you are sitting beside a calm river at dusk. The surface of the water reflects the fading sky, and everything feels still. In this peaceful setting, imagine dropping two small pebbles into the water at the same time. Even though the ripples spread outward, crossing paths and merging with the gentle flow, you know they came from one shared action. In a similar way, entangled particles share a rhythm, a memory of their connection that remains even when they drift apart. This thought can make the universe feel far more intimate. The strangeness of entanglement begins to unfold when you realize that what happens to one particle immediately affects the other. Not with delay. Not with a signal traveling through space. Instantly. It is as if they exist in a quiet space beyond distance, a realm where separation does not exist. Even Einstein, who admired the universe deeply, was unsettled by this behavior. He called it spooky action at a distance, a phrase that captures both curiosity and disbelief. But despite his doubts, experiments have shown again and again that this mysterious connection is real. And in the slow, relaxing rhythm of understanding, you begin to see how entanglement reshapes the way we think about reality. It means that the universe is not divided into isolated pieces. Everything is connected in ways far deeper than common sense accepts. The quantum world is not a collection of tiny, independent particles. It is a web of relationships, where changes in one place can echo in another instantly. This softens the rigid borders we imagine. It turns the universe into a kind of living network. As you reflect on this idea, a calm realization settles over you. You are also connected to everything around you. The atoms in your body once belonged to stars. The particles in your blood once drifted through space as energy. The matter that makes you human has touched countless forms before becoming a part of you. And deep within those atoms, the quantum rules of connection are still at work. Entanglement reminds us that separation is not as absolute as it seems. Two people standing across a room may feel distant, but at the atomic level, their particles are part of the same universal tapestry. Two galaxies on opposite sides of the cosmos may appear isolated, yet they emerge from the same cosmic birth, driven by the same quantum rules. This gentle interconnectedness becomes easier to appreciate when you see the universe as a place where silence carries meaning, where unseen threads link everything into one evolving whole. As you continue drifting through this quiet flow of understanding, you can imagine entangled particles like pairs of tiny lanterns floating through the dark. No matter how far they drift, their inner glow stays synchronized. When one flickers, the other flickers too. There is something almost comforting in this image. It suggests that relationships are not limited by space. That connection is stronger than distance. That even the smallest parts of reality refuse to be alone. This idea also challenges the way we view knowledge. In classical thinking, to understand something, we observe it directly. But in the quantum world, observation itself changes what is being observed. And with entanglement, observing one particle gives you information about its partner instantly. It is as if the universe whispers the answer quietly, without needing the usual steps of communication. This whispering nature of reality is both mysterious and deeply soothing. It suggests that the world has layers of meaning beneath what we see. As you breathe slowly and let your thoughts drift, you might imagine how this silent communication happens. It does not use sound. It does not use light. It simply exists as part of the structure of reality. The particles do not need to send signals to remain connected. They already share a state. In this way, the universe shows us that some relationships are built not on communication but on being fundamentally united. This understanding can reflect back onto your own life. Sometimes, the people you are closest to remain connected to you even when they are far away. You may think of someone just before they call you. You may feel a sense of someone's presence even when they are not with you. These experiences echo the quiet nature of entanglement, not scientifically, but emotionally. They remind you that connection has many forms. Quantum entanglement is not only a scientific concept. It is a gentle reminder that the universe prefers unity over isolation. It shows us that even in the smallest places, separateness is an illusion. And as you accept this idea, the world feels softer. You begin to feel a calm appreciation for the hidden bonds that shape everything. You realize that we live not in a universe of lonely particles but in one that is woven together by silent relationships. In this peaceful awareness, you see quantum entanglement not as something strange or frightening, but as something beautiful, a quiet conversation happening beneath all things. A reminder that the universe is connected, that nothing exists alone, and that even the smallest pieces of reality carry the soft echo of togetherness. There is a quiet moment in every journey through the quantum world when time itself begins to feel different. Not rushed. Not linear. Not the steady ticking of a clock that you hear in your daily life. Instead, time becomes soft, flexible, almost like a slow-moving stream that gently changes direction as it wishes. In this serene understanding, you begin to explore one of the most important and calming ideas in quantum physics: uncertainty. Uncertainty, as described by the famous Heisenberg principle, does not mean confusion or mistakes. It is not the kind of uncertainty that creates stress in everyday life. Instead, it is a natural and peaceful truth at the foundation of the universe. At the smallest scale, particles cannot be pinned down perfectly. If you try to know their position with precision, you lose clarity about their motion. If you try to know their motion exactly, their position becomes blurry and uncertain. This is not a flaw or a failure, it is simply the way nature expresses itself. Imagine a soft fog drifting across a quiet valley. You can see its shape, but you can never capture its exact edges. You can watch it move, but you cannot freeze it in place. This fog is like the quantum world, always shifting, always blending, always beyond the grasp of perfect measurement. And as you picture this fog, you may begin to feel the comfort hidden within the principle of uncertainty. It tells you that the universe does not expect perfection. It does not force things to be exact. It allows everything to exist with softness. In this gentle awareness, even time becomes less strict. In our daily experience, we feel time moving forward, steady and unchanging. But in the quantum world, time can stretch, bend, and behave in ways that common sense does not recognize. Particles can move through time differently depending on their energy. Some interactions can appear to happen faster than expected or slower than predicted. And in rare circumstances, particles can seem to influence events before they even occur, as if the future and the present quietly touch hands when no one is looking. This does not mean time breaks. It simply means that the universe is more fluid than we imagine. The strict lines we draw around past, present, and future are human tools, useful for living life, but not necessarily the rules of nature. In the quantum realm, time is a gentle partner in the dance of particles, shifting and flowing as needed. As you sit with this idea, you might begin to feel a deep sense of calm. If time itself is flexible, then the rigid pressure we often place on our understanding of the world begins to soften. You realize that the universe is not ruled by a strict, unforgiving schedule. Instead, it moves with a quiet grace, allowing possibilities to unfold naturally. This realization becomes even more meaningful when you think about how particles behave when no one is observing them. In classical physics, an object travels along one clear path. But in the quantum world, a particle can take many paths at once. It is as if time branches into multiple possibilities, all coexisting in the same soft moment. The universe keeps all these paths open like whispered options, and only when we observe do we see the final chosen path. This behavior is beautifully demonstrated in the famous double-slit experiment. When particles are not observed, they behave like waves, taking all possible paths through two openings. But when we observe them, they behave like particles, choosing one opening. The difference between these two behaviors is not caused by time or space. It is caused by the simple act of watching. This suggests that the universe is aware, in a quiet, mathematical way, of whether it is being observed or left alone. And so, uncertainty is not chaos. It is awareness. It is the universe holding space for all possibilities until the moment a choice must be made. Instead of pushing reality in one direction, it allows for many paths to exist. This gentle allowance creates a peaceful foundation for all things. Even energy itself follows these rules. At the quantum level, energy can appear and disappear for brief moments, like tiny sparks that flash and fade within the flow of time. This is known as quantum fluctuation. It means that even in perfect emptiness, even in the quietest vacuum, there is movement. There is life. There is a soft trembling that fills space with potential. The universe never rests completely. It breathes softly in and out, creating possibilities out of the stillness. Thinking about this can feel calming. It shows you that stillness is never empty. Quiet spaces hold hidden life. Slow moments are full of unseen activity. Even when you feel motionless, your atoms vibrate with energy. The vacuum of space, which looks silent and lonely, is alive with quantum fluctuations. Nothing is ever truly static. As you let this understanding settle into your mind like a slow sunrise, you begin to see your own life differently. You realize that uncertainty is not something to fear. It is the natural rhythm of existence. Just as quantum particles are allowed to exist in multiple possibilities, you too are allowed to grow, change, and choose new paths. You are not locked into a single future. You move through your own possibilities, shaping your reality with your thoughts, actions, and awareness. The quantum world teaches us that it is okay not to know everything. It is okay for the future to be unclear. It is okay to stand in the present moment without needing perfect answers. The universe itself thrives on uncertainty, using it to create beauty, complexity, and life. In this gentle, peaceful understanding, you find a new relationship with time. Instead of feeling controlled by its ticking, you feel aligned with its flow. You recognize that time is not a strict ruler but a quiet companion, guiding you through the possibilities of your own existence. And just like the particles that move in soft, unpredictable rhythms, you are part of this delicate dance, one that connects the smallest quantum spark to the largest sweep of the cosmos. There comes a moment in every quiet exploration of the quantum world when you begin to sense that what you see is only a thin surface of something much deeper. Reality, as it appears to our eyes, is like the gentle skin of an ocean, smooth, familiar, and comforting. But beneath that calm surface lies a vast landscape of motion, depth, and mystery. In this chapter, you drift slowly into that deeper place, where layers of existence gently overlap and reveal the true delicacy of the universe. The first thing you notice is how simple everything appears up close. A chair, a cup, a stone, your own hands, each object feels solid and stable. Yet this solidity is an illusion created by countless vibrations, forces, and fields weaving together in perfect harmony. Every object you touch is made of atoms, and every atom is mostly empty space. Even the nucleus, dense and compact, is surrounded by a cloud of probabilities, not certainties. What feels hard and unchangeable is actually a symphony of movements so small and fast that the human senses cannot see them. You begin to understand that the quantum world is not a distant science fiction realm. It is the hidden layer beneath your everyday life. Each breath you take, each sound you hear, each step you walk upon the earth, all of it rests on the gentle activity of particles shifting, vibrating, and forming temporary patterns that give rise to the world you know. It is comforting to realize that this hidden world is not chaotic. It is not wild or unpredictable in the sense of danger. Instead, it follows rules that are subtle, quiet, and beautifully consistent. These rules are so precise that they allow stars to shine, plants to grow, and your heart to beat with perfect rhythm. The unpredictability lies only in the smallest details, not in the unfolding of nature itself. One of the most peaceful ideas in this hidden layer is the concept of superposition. Superposition means that particles can exist in multiple states at the same time. They are not forced to choose until the moment they interact with something else. It is like a soft whisper of possibility, always present, always open. Imagine a bird sitting in a tree, not deciding yet whether to fly left or right. In the classical world, the bird must pick one. But in the quantum world, the particle explores both paths gently until a moment of interaction guides it toward one final choice. This idea may seem strange, but there is beauty in it. It suggests that reality is not rigid. It does not rush to conclusions. It leaves room for possibilities to unfold, allowing the universe to grow and adapt naturally. Even in your own life, there are moments where multiple paths exist at once. You might not know which direction to take, and yet the future remains open. You, too, exist in your own kind of superposition, full of potential until the moment you choose. As you continue sinking into this quiet understanding, the concept of quantum fields begins to appear. A quantum field is like a soft, invisible blanket stretched across the entire universe. Everything, every particle, every force, every moment, emerges from these fields. Particles are not tiny marbles floating in space. They are ripples, small waves rising from the fields that fill all of reality. Imagine the surface of a deep lake at night, perfectly still except for a tiny ripple created by a falling leaf. That ripple is like a particle. It is not separate from the water. It is simply a temporary pattern moving through it. In the same way, particles are patterns moving through quantum fields. They rise, shift, and fade, but the field remains. This realization changes the way you think about existence. You begin to see that the universe is not made of pieces. It is made of waves, patterns, and relationships. In this peaceful interpretation, fields become the true foundation of everything. The field responsible for light is everywhere, even in the darkest places between galaxies. The field responsible for electrons is everywhere, even in the silence of empty space. These fields overlap, interact, and give birth to the physical world. It is like watching gentle ripples intersect on the surface of a pond, creating new shapes and movements in perfect harmony. You may start to feel a sense of belonging as you explore this deeper layer. You are not separate from the universe. The particles in your body are simply temporary ripples in these cosmic fields. They are connected to the fields that fill the stars, the galaxies, and the farthest reaches of space. In a gentle and literal way, you are made from the same essence as the cosmos. As this understanding deepens, another layer reveals itself, the role of the observer. In the quantum world, observation is not just passive watching. It is participation. When you observe a quantum system, you help shape its outcome. You influence the patterns it chooses, the paths it takes, the way it settles into reality. This does not mean that consciousness controls the universe, but it shows that interaction is essential to the unfolding of events. This idea can feel surprisingly peaceful. It tells you that you are part of the story, not an outsider watching from a distance. Your presence, your awareness, your interactions, no matter how small, have meaning. And not just emotional or symbolic meaning, but real, physical influence. The universe notices when you take part in its dance. This hidden layer of reality also contains quantum tunneling, a phenomenon where particles can pass through barriers they should not be able to cross. It is as if the universe quietly bends the rules in moments of pure possibility. Tunneling allows sunlight to shine, atoms to form, and the stars themselves to exist. Without this gentle bending, the universe would be cold and lifeless. And perhaps there is something softly inspiring about this idea. Even when the path seems blocked, even when a barrier appears too strong, nature finds a way through, quietly, gracefully, and with surprising ease. The quantum world teaches that obstacles are not absolute. There is always a hidden pathway, a subtle opening, a small chance for something unexpected to happen. As you drift through these hidden layers, you begin to understand that the universe is not made of simple parts but of possibilities woven together. Reality is not a single layer but many, gently stacked and interacting in ways that create the world you see and feel. And with this gentle awareness, the world becomes more peaceful. The surface of reality feels softer, the deeper layers feel inviting, and your place within the universe feels beautifully connected. As you continue your quiet journey through the quantum world, you begin to notice a subtle rhythm, a soft pattern woven into the fabric of everything. This rhythm is not loud or forceful. It is gentle, like a whisper that only those who slow down can hear. It is the rhythm of probability, the quiet pulse that guides how particles move, interact, and shape the reality we perceive. Probability is not chaos. It is a gentle order underlying the apparent randomness of the universe. Imagine a soft rain falling over a calm lake. Each drop lands unpredictably, creating tiny ripples. Yet when you step back, the ripples form patterns that seem almost purposeful. Similarly, in the quantum world, the behavior of individual particles may appear random, but the overall patterns emerge with remarkable precision. Probability gives structure to uncertainty, order to the unpredictable. Without it, the universe would collapse into chaos, but with it, there is a delicate balance, a quiet harmony that allows galaxies, atoms, and life itself to exist. One of the most fascinating aspects of this probabilistic nature is how it shapes outcomes before they happen. A particle does not have a single, determined state until it is observed. Instead, it exists as a cloud of possibilities, each with its own likelihood of occurring. This does not feel confusing when you think of it as potential rather than limitation. Each possibility is like a soft path branching out in all directions, waiting for the right conditions to guide the particle along one of them. As you picture these invisible paths, you may notice that probability in the quantum world is not about chance in the way we usually think of it. It is not simply guessing or randomness. Instead, it is a precise, mathematically defined pattern that governs how reality unfolds. It tells the universe where particles are likely to be, how they might interact, and how energy flows from one place to another. It is a quiet, elegant map that guides the behavior of the smallest components of existence. This understanding can feel surprisingly comforting. It suggests that even in the seeming unpredictability of life, there is a hidden structure, a gentle framework that ensures stability and coherence. The probabilistic nature of reality allows for flexibility and creativity, giving the universe room to grow, adapt, and surprise itself. Without this flexibility, the universe would be rigid, unchanging, and lifeless. Probability brings movement, life, and possibility. In everyday life, we experience a softer echo of this quantum principle. The choices we make, the people we meet, the opportunities that appear, all of them have a certain probability of occurring, influenced by countless factors beyond our awareness. Just as a particle navigates its cloud of possibilities, we navigate our own network of potential outcomes. Sometimes the paths we do not choose shape us as much as the paths we do, creating patterns we only notice in hindsight. Probability is both gentle and powerful, invisible yet profoundly influential. Another subtle beauty of this probabilistic world is interference. When multiple possibilities overlap, they can reinforce or cancel each other, creating outcomes that are both unexpected and precise. It is like two soft melodies blending together, forming harmonies and silences that were not present in either alone. Quantum interference shows that outcomes are rarely isolated. Everything interacts, everything affects everything else, even in the smallest, quietest ways. The universe is not a collection of separate events, but a delicate web of interconnected probabilities. As you reflect on these whispering patterns, you may feel a sense of awe at the elegance of the universe. Probability is not a flaw or a gap in understanding. It is the music of reality, a rhythm that allows complexity and beauty to emerge from simple rules. It is soft, invisible, and constant, like a heartbeat that sustains life on both the smallest and largest scales. The probabilistic nature of reality also challenges the way we think about certainty. In classical physics, things are fixed. If you know the initial conditions perfectly, you can predict the outcome with absolute precision. But in the quantum world, certainty is never complete. There is always a gentle range of possibilities, a quiet softness that prevents rigidity. And this is not frustrating, it is freeing. It means that the universe is alive, flexible, and adaptable, not confined to a single path or outcome. As you sit with this understanding, you may begin to notice the quiet poetry of existence. Probability allows for the emergence of life, consciousness, and creativity. It makes evolution possible. It allows atoms to form molecules, stars to shine, and planets to harbor life. All of this arises from the gentle guidance of probabilities, softly shaping outcomes while leaving room for surprise and variation. Even the way we perceive the world is influenced by this underlying probability. Light, for example, does not travel in a single, determined line. Photons spread out, exploring many paths simultaneously, and the patterns they form emerge as probabilities. The waves and particles dance together in a quiet, elegant interplay, producing the reality we see. Probability is not a limitation. It is the soft fabric from which the universe is woven. This awareness of whispering probabilities can also change the way you relate to your own life. Just as quantum particles exist in a cloud of potential, so do your choices, your thoughts, and your actions. You have many possible outcomes at any moment, and the gentle act of observation, of intention, attention, or action, helps shape which path becomes reality. This does not mean you control everything, but it does mean that your presence and awareness matter in the unfolding of life. In the quiet of this reflection, you may begin to feel a deep connection to the universe. You are part of the same web of possibilities. Your body, thoughts, and actions are intertwined with the invisible rhythms of particles, waves, and fields. You exist not as a single, rigid object, but as a living pattern of probabilities, softly interacting with the rest of reality. And in this understanding, there is peace, a gentle reassurance that the universe is not fixed or harsh, but flexible, alive, and full of quiet potential. Probability whispers to us that the universe is patient. It waits, it allows, it unfolds. Outcomes are not forced. Paths are not rigid. Even in the tiniest interactions, the world creates space for flexibility, for choice, for beauty. And when you feel this quiet rhythm, you realize that the softness of probability is not a limitation. It is the very mechanism through which life, growth, and consciousness emerge. In this awareness, the universe feels tender. It is a place where patterns whisper, possibilities breathe, and the soft music of probability guides every particle, every wave, every breath of existence. And as you sit quietly with this understanding, you begin to see that the quantum world is not distant or cold. It is intimate, alive, and profoundly gentle, offering a quiet lesson in the beauty of uncertainty and the elegance of potential. As you continue through the quiet expanse of the quantum world, a new idea begins to reveal itself. The universe responds to observation in ways both subtle and profound. It is not that the universe waits for us to notice it, but that the act of paying attention gently shapes outcomes. This is one of the most delicate and calming concepts of quantum physics. It shows us that the observer is never separate from what is being observed, and that reality itself unfolds in a soft dialogue between awareness and existence. Imagine standing by a still pond in the early morning. The water is smooth, reflecting the soft light of dawn. A single leaf falls onto the surface, creating ripples that expand outward, touching every corner of the pond. In the quantum world, observation is like that leaf. The act of noticing, measuring, or interacting with a particle creates ripples in reality. What was once a cloud of possibilities condenses into a single, gentle outcome. This does not feel intrusive or forceful. It is like the universe softly acknowledging your presence, responding in kind to your awareness. This principle, often called the observer effect, is not about human ego or consciousness dominating reality. It is about interaction. When we observe a particle, we engage with it. We touch it, even if only indirectly. Our instruments, our eyes, our very presence become part of the process that shapes outcomes. In this quiet understanding, the universe feels intimate, not distant. We are participants in its unfolding rather than passive spectators. As you drift deeper into this realization, the subtle beauty of it becomes apparent. The universe is not rigid, and it does not exist solely for us, yet our actions influence its pathways. Observation does not collapse reality in a harsh way. Instead, it allows one possibility to gently emerge from the sea of many. It is a soft nudge in the dance of existence, a quiet signal that the flow of reality is interactive, not isolated. To understand this, imagine a single beam of sunlight streaming through a small window. In the dusty air, countless particles float and shimmer, each reflecting the light differently depending on where it lands. Your attention to the light does not change the sun itself, but it changes what you perceive. You witness patterns that exist only in the moment of seeing. In the quantum world, these moments are magnified, shaping outcomes on the smallest scales of matter and energy. Observation and reality are intertwined in a gentle embrace. This interplay between observer and observed also highlights the delicate balance of freedom and structure in the universe. Particles have the freedom to explore countless paths, yet the act of interaction guides them along a specific trajectory. Possibility meets gentle constraint, creating patterns that are both predictable and flexible. This rhythm can feel like a quiet meditation, a universe breathing softly, revealing its forms only as needed, never rushing, never forcing. You may start to notice that this principle reflects aspects of your own life. When you focus your attention, you influence the way events unfold. Your choices, intentions, and actions have subtle effects, much like observing a particle or a ripple on water. Observation does not control everything, but it gently steers outcomes. It reminds you that presence and awareness are powerful tools, not through force, but through delicate engagement. Even light and energy in the universe behave this way. Photons travel through space exploring many paths simultaneously. Yet when a measurement occurs, when observation takes place, they collapse into one path, one position, one definite state. This is not sudden or violent. It is a natural settling, a soft transition from many possibilities to one reality. The universe does not resist our attention. It flows with it, like a calm river shaping itself around the gentle pressure of stones. This understanding can bring a deep sense of peace. It reassures you that the universe is not indifferent, nor is it demanding. Instead, it invites participation in the quietest and most profound ways. Observation is not about dominance or certainty. It is about gentle collaboration. Reality and awareness co-create the world, softly and continuously. As you imagine these interactions, another layer of beauty emerges. The universe does not collapse possibilities arbitrarily. The patterns that form from observation are consistent, predictable, and harmonious. When particles respond to measurement, they do so in accordance with the underlying rules of quantum mechanics. There is freedom in the possibilities, but there is also order, a soft, elegant structure that maintains balance even in apparent unpredictability. This balance is perhaps one of the most comforting lessons of quantum physics. Even in uncertainty, there is stability. Even in randomness, there is quiet order. Observation does not force chaos into form. It allows form to arise naturally from the web of possibilities. And in this realization, you begin to sense that the universe is deeply compassionate in its design. It accommodates countless possibilities, provides room for interaction, and responds with subtle guidance rather than abrupt enforcement. As you reflect on the ripple of observation, you may feel your own awareness aligning with the gentle flow of reality. Each thought, each moment of mindfulness, each act of attention becomes part of this soft dialogue. Your presence is woven into the quiet rhythm of the universe, and the universe, in turn, responds with patterns that are both intricate and calming. There is a serenity in knowing that even the smallest act of attention is meaningful, that awareness itself participates in the unfolding of existence. In this peaceful space, the universe is neither fixed nor rigid. It is fluid, flexible, and responsive. The smallest particles, the waves of energy, and the fields of potential all move in concert with observation, revealing patterns that are never harsh or forced, but gentle, subtle, and beautifully interconnected. You realize that you are part of this ongoing conversation, a participant in the soft, quiet rhythm that shapes every aspect of reality. By the end of this reflection, the quantum world no longer feels distant or abstract. It feels intimate, alive, and profoundly gentle. Observation is not a burden or a requirement. It is an invitation to participate in the most subtle and essential dance of existence. In this gentle ripple, the universe and consciousness meet, softly shaping reality together, in harmony and serenity. As your journey through the quantum world continues, a new layer of understanding begins to emerge, the language of waves. This is a language that does not speak in words or sounds but in gentle oscillations, vibrations, and patterns. It is subtle, profound, and everywhere. Waves are the soft rhythm underlying all matter and energy, quietly shaping the universe in ways that are both intimate and expansive. Learning to feel this rhythm is like listening to a secret conversation that flows beneath the surface of everything we perceive. Every particle, every photon, every tiny fragment of existence carries within it a wave. This wave represents the probability of where it might be, how it might move, and how it might interact. Unlike solid objects that seem fixed and unchanging, waves are fluid. They expand, overlap, interfere, and dissolve, creating patterns that are never entirely predictable, yet always harmonious. In this gentle interplay, you begin to sense the softness of reality, its capacity to shift, flow, and respond. Imagine standing on a quiet shore at dawn, watching gentle waves ripple across the water. Each wave interacts with the next, creating patterns that are fleeting but beautiful. In the quantum world, waves behave similarly. When they meet, they can amplify one another or cancel each other out. This phenomenon, known as interference, shows that reality is not made of isolated pieces but of relationships, soft, subtle, and intricately connected. Waves are the language of these relationships, telling the story of the universe without words or force. The wave nature of particles also explains the duality of existence. Light, for example, can behave as both a particle and a wave. Electrons, too, display this duality, shifting between forms depending on how we observe them. This does not feel confusing when you consider that reality itself is flexible. The universe is not rigid. It does not insist on one fixed behavior. Instead, it offers multiple modes of being, gently transitioning between them as circumstances require. This fluidity is both beautiful and calming, a reminder that the world is not constrained by the limits of our perception. You may begin to notice that waves carry information effortlessly. They encode probabilities, interactions, and relationships within their gentle oscillations. Even when a wave spreads across space, its influence is felt subtly elsewhere, guiding the paths of particles and shaping outcomes in ways that are quiet but significant. Waves allow the universe to communicate with itself in a language that is invisible yet deeply present. Every ripple, every vibration, is part of a hidden conversation that connects all things. As you reflect on this idea, you may sense a resonance with your own life. Your thoughts, emotions, and actions send out gentle waves, subtly influencing those around you. Just as quantum waves shape particles, your presence creates ripples in the world. These effects may be small and quiet, yet over time, they create patterns, relationships, and experiences that shape the fabric of your life. There is comfort in realizing that even soft, gentle actions matter. You are a participant in the wave-like rhythm of reality. One of the most elegant aspects of waves is how they demonstrate the unity of space and time. A wave is not confined to a single point. It spreads, moving through space and evolving over time. Its influence is not localized. It interacts with its surroundings in a continuous, flowing manner. In this way, waves reveal that separation is often an illusion. Particles, objects, and events are connected through the soft medium of waves, forming a network of interaction that is quiet yet omnipresent. Quantum waves also offer insight into the unseen potential of reality. Before a particle is observed, its wave function represents all the possibilities it could take. It is a soft cloud of probability, gently undulating and exploring countless outcomes. Only when observation occurs does the wave settle into a definite state. This reminds us that reality is always open to potential. The world is not locked into one fixed path. Possibility exists everywhere, flowing like a gentle river beneath the apparent solidity of things. There is also a quiet poetry in the fact that waves can interfere with each other, producing patterns that are complex yet harmonious. This interference is not random. It follows precise mathematical rules, yet it creates beauty beyond what is strictly necessary. The universe, in this sense, is both logical and artistic. Waves bring together the soft elegance of probability and the precise structure of rules, showing that reality can be both serene and intricate at the same time. As you settle into this understanding, you may begin to feel the profound interconnectedness of all things. Every particle is a wave, every wave is a potential, and every potential interacts with countless others. The universe is a vast, soft tapestry of vibrations, a hidden music that flows through the fabric of reality. Observing, interacting, and existing in this world becomes an act of harmony, a quiet participation in the ongoing symphony of waves. This insight also encourages patience. Waves take time to evolve, to intersect, to create outcomes. The universe does not rush. It allows patterns to form at their own pace, revealing results when the moment is right. There is a lesson here for your own life. Sometimes, the best outcomes arise not from force or control but from gentle observation, mindful presence, and allowing possibilities to unfold naturally. The quiet rhythm of waves becomes a model for calm, intentional living. Finally, the gentle language of waves reminds you that the universe is not separate from you. You, too, are a pattern of vibrations, a ripple in the vast ocean of existence. Your thoughts, movements, and choices resonate through the subtle medium of reality. The quantum world is not distant. It is intimate, alive, and softly intertwined with your being. Understanding this creates a sense of peace, a recognition that the cosmos is not indifferent but quietly welcoming, offering space for connection, growth, and gentle participation. In the stillness of this reflection, you may notice how waves carry a sense of continuity, a soft bridge between the seen and unseen, the possible and the actual. They remind us that reality is never static, that even in calm, there is movement, and that the smallest vibrations can shape the vastest outcomes. Waves whisper to us that the universe is alive, gentle, and deeply interconnected, offering a serene and intimate perspective on the nature of existence. As your journey through the quantum world reaches its final chapter, a profound sense of quiet understanding begins to settle in. All the ideas you have explored, the uncertainty, the waves, the probabilities, the gentle influence of observation, come together like threads in a soft, intricate tapestry. Reality, in its deepest form, is not something to be conquered or fully understood. It is something to be experienced, gently observed, and embraced. There is beauty in this mystery, and a calmness that comes from accepting that not all things need to be pinned down or explained. The first lesson of embracing this mystery is patience. Quantum physics shows us that the universe does not operate on our schedule. Particles vibrate, waves spread, and probabilities unfold in their own time. Some outcomes are immediate, some take eons to reveal themselves, and some remain forever uncertain. In this soft flow, there is a gentle reminder. Life does not require hurried certainty. Time itself is fluid, and reality allows for space to unfold naturally, without force. Observing this brings a sense of peace, a quiet surrender to the rhythms of the cosmos. Another lesson is humility. The more you understand about the quantum world, the more you realize how small and limited human perception truly is. What we see, touch, and measure is only a thin surface of a far richer reality. Beneath the surface, countless layers of particles, waves, fields, and probabilities create a living, breathing universe. Accepting that our knowledge is limited is not a defeat. It is an invitation to wonder. Curiosity becomes a form of meditation, and mystery becomes a source of calm inspiration rather than anxiety. As you dwell in this quiet wonder, you notice the interconnectedness of everything. Particles do not exist in isolation. Waves ripple through space, fields overlap, and probabilities intertwine. Observation shapes outcomes, and each interaction influences countless others. This delicate web of connection mirrors your own life. Your actions, thoughts, and intentions ripple through the world in ways that are sometimes visible, sometimes hidden, yet always significant. The quantum universe quietly reflects the gentle power of presence, reminding you that even small acts matter. Embracing the mystery also requires trust. In quantum physics, particles can exist in multiple states until observed. Possibilities coexist, outcomes are not fixed, and the universe is inherently flexible. There is no need for control over every detail. Instead, the universe teaches a soft form of trust, that potential is always present, that paths can unfold in unexpected ways, and that reality will gently guide itself according to its own harmonious rules. This is a lesson that applies equally to life. You do not need to force clarity or certainty. You can allow events, choices, and experiences to unfold naturally, trusting that the world carries its own quiet wisdom. There is also a deep beauty in the balance of unpredictability and order. The quantum world is never chaotic, even though it may appear random. Uncertainty, probabilities, and wave interactions follow precise patterns, creating harmony from what seems like chaos. Similarly, life contains moments that feel uncertain, confusing, or random. Yet, within that seeming unpredictability, there is structure and rhythm. Accepting this balance brings calmness, as you recognize that the universe is neither arbitrary nor harsh. It is deliberate in its elegance, allowing freedom within a framework of subtle order. Reflection on the quantum world also brings a profound appreciation for the hidden layers of reality. Everyday objects, experiences, and even our own bodies are composed of tiny particles, waves, and fields that we cannot see. Reality is far richer than our senses reveal. By imagining this hidden depth, you begin to see the world with new reverence. The ordinary becomes extraordinary. A simple breeze, a beam of light, or the warmth of a hand carries layers of complexity and wonder. This perspective encourages mindfulness, quiet observation, and deep gratitude for the subtle details of existence. Perhaps the most gentle and inspiring lesson is that participation matters. Observation shapes outcomes, awareness influences probability, and presence creates ripples in the web of reality. You are not separate from the universe. You are woven into its very fabric. Your thoughts, feelings, and choices are part of the ongoing dance of existence. There is quiet power in knowing that your presence matters, not in a forceful way, but in a soft, natural, harmonious way. This is both humbling and comforting. You are an integral note in the symphony of reality. As you sit with this understanding, the mystery of existence transforms from something intimidating into something nurturing. Uncertainty is no longer threatening. Probability is no longer abstract. Observation and interaction are no longer confusing. They become invitations to engage, to witness, and to participate in the unfolding of reality. You begin to see life as a gentle exploration, a continuous interaction with a universe that is alive, responsive, and profoundly beautiful. This chapter of reflection leads naturally to gratitude. The quiet lessons of quantum physics, uncertainty, waves, probabilities, observation, and interconnectedness offer a deeper appreciation of the life you experience. Every moment, no matter how small or seemingly insignificant, is part of this vast, intricate web. Your breathing, your thoughts, your attention, and your presence all ripple through the world, softly shaping reality. The universe allows participation, welcomes awareness, and responds in kind. Finally, embracing the mystery means embracing yourself. Just as particles exist in clouds of possibilities, you exist in a spectrum of potential. You are free to explore, to grow, and to unfold your own path. There is no rush, no single correct outcome, only a gentle journey of possibilities. The universe offers space, freedom, and harmony, inviting you to move through life with curiosity, awareness, and calm. In this final reflection, you realize that the quantum world is not distant, abstract, or intimidating. It is intimate, subtle, and profoundly gentle. It offers lessons not just about the nature of reality, but about how to live within it, with patience, awareness, trust, and quiet joy. And as you embrace these lessons, you feel a deep sense of peace, a serene understanding that existence itself is a soft, beautiful, and endlessly fascinating mystery. As we come to the quiet close of this journey through the quantum world, it becomes clear that reality is far more gentle, intricate, and mysterious than it first appears. The universe does not rush, it does not demand. It flows with subtle rhythms, soft probabilities, and delicate waves. Particles, fields, and possibilities intertwine in a harmonious dance, revealing that even the smallest acts of observation, awareness, or intention ripple outward, shaping the unfolding of existence. Quantum physics teaches us that uncertainty is not something to fear, but a space for potential. Observation is not force, but participation. Waves and probabilities are not chaos, but the quiet language through which the universe expresses itself. In embracing this, we realize that we are not separate from the cosmos. We are part of its soft, unfolding pattern. There is profound calm in knowing that the mysteries of life are not obstacles, but invitations to observe, to reflect, and to participate with care and mindfulness. The universe is alive, responsive, and deeply interconnected. In understanding this, we gain more than knowledge. We gain serenity, wonder, and a quiet appreciation for the beautiful, delicate tapestry of existence in which we are all intimately woven.